This video is about what happens when you mismanage audience expectations and commit writing errors within the context of a long-running established franchise. The moment you as a creative make your work a series instead of a standalone, you are now entering a sort of faux contract with your audience. A lot of the time, these audience expectations are unfair and place baggage on a work that doesn't deserve it, but that is not this video. This video is about how Dragon Ball GT violates that faux contract of warranted audience expectations. The first warranted expectation is how our protagonist Son Goku grew and changed in the time passed between the Buu saga and GT. So when he's turned into a kid, for some audience members, already the contract has been breached. Instead of Dragon Ball's iconic progression where characters grow older, wiser, and stronger after each storyline, it feels like the main character regresses and it's a big shock to the system. I don't see this as a big deal. This is simply the catalyst for the first arc's existence, and if anything, proves how much Goku is always growing. Because the Pilaf gang were already outclassed in their introduction, by this point in the story, there's nothing they can do other than hope for Goku to be weaker than them. My real problem with this moment is that this could have been a slam dunk if they actually made Goku weak here, and would have been an iconic introduction for Oob, as Goku's decision to train Oob could have bailed him out and given validity to that narrative choice and endeared the audience to his character. This isn't Toei's fault, but it is Toei's responsibility. The moment Goku flies off with Oob at the end of Dragon Ball, two things happen in the audience's mind. Oob is going to be the most cracked out fighter we've ever seen, or he's going to be the most cracked out fighter we'll never see because the story is over. But GT decided that the story isn't over. There is no reason for Oob not to go on the adventure to find the Black Star Dragon Balls. We as the audience expect a lot from Oob after the ending of the original series in a way that is not unwarranted. One of the greatest moments in Dragon Ball is Roshi lecturing Tien at the 22nd Tenkaichi Budokai about the true nature of martial arts and how as a teacher you nourish your students, not just teach them the art of war and how to win. Unfortunately, this is the only time where Dragon Ball carries out that passing of the torch because Gohan never meaningfully takes it from his father after defeating Cell in a way where Goku and Krillin carry it from Roshi. Goten and Trunks also failed to deliver on the next generation, surpassing the one before. The staff at Toei had two options. One, bring Oob on the hunt for the Black Star Dragon Balls, or two, make Oob the super clutch character that locks down the storylines post-hunt if he's not going on the adventure. Gohan, Goten, and Trunks failed to be the next generation. Oob can serve as the character who finally takes the torch from Goku. This is not just any Earthling, this is the reincarnation of Majin Buu's fighting spirit. The same Majin Buu that outsmarted the protagonists, blew up the Earth, and almost pushed back the Genki Dama. Because Oob is tied to Goku's actions and never existed before, the audience is ready to accept where the storytellers first place him, and will not have as much bias for his power level. Oob actually has a chance to solve one of the franchise's biggest problems. So what did they do with this character? Nothing. Toei failed. It's quite possibly the most frustrating failure in all of Dragon Ball history. It's genuinely, really bad. After so many writing mistakes in the main series, GT cannot afford to fail Oob in the audience this way. Oob literally isn't in the story for over half of it and then is used to hype up the climax of the Baby Saga. Extremely frustrating. This is why what's called setup payoff or Chekhov's gun, and that having these writing fundamentals down is so important. When you introduce these storytelling elements this way, you can expect them to pay off. The audience is so hyped when Oob arrives on new planet Tuffle, but that flame dies out and is only resurrected because Super Saiyan 4 is so good that the audience forgets how bad it is that Oob's character was irrevocably obliterated. Taking the story back to its roots. I am a fan of the hunt for the Black Star Dragon Balls arc because I started Dragon Ball from the beginning, but as a writer I can recognize why some of the audience doesn't like it. This is due to what's often called in writing as a narrative promise. This is similar to Chekhov's gun or setup payoff, but in a greater vibes and atmospheric context. Because so much of the story has been spent on these elongated combat scenarios, when it returns to this very quaint style, the audience is going to be scratching their heads. The Demon King Piccolo arc, all the way to the Boo arc, has been nothing but potentially world-ending scenarios where the fate of our characters is hanging in the balance. 6 full storylines. Further still is the fact that the material it's pulling from can't be emulated the same way as before. Dragon Ball GT attempts to tell new stories that pull from nostalgic elements of old, but these characters are significantly stronger and with far less of a capacity for shenanigans, since the mission they're on has the world hanging in the balance. Bulma wanted to wish for a boyfriend in the first arc of the story, but that stands in no odds of the storytelling because nothing was established yet. By the time GT rolls around, not only is the source material finished, there is a great degree established, like the invalidation mechanics of Super Saiyan and instantaneous movement. The characters just kind of don't need to fool around, have learned that they probably shouldn't from the Cell Saga, and are strong enough to not have to since GT commits to nearly all of the antagonists being weaker than them during this section of the story. I appreciate some levity existing, but again, it feels like we're being pulled in different directions narratively. Is it a vibe, or is it serious? Which one? If GT was going to so heavily rely on previous parts of the franchise, what it should have been emulating is the Frieza saga. The first half of this arc is some of the best storytelling Dragon Ball has ever done because it managed to combine the deathly serious nature of the combats with the adventurous quality of hunting for the Dragon Balls. GT should have been doing this, not this. I do want to speak on something it does well, which is when the ship is damaged and Trunks needs to repair it. Perhaps leaning more in this direction for levity would have been better than trying and failing to implement nostalgia that the story can't integrate as well anymore. Some of my favorite moments in GT are when the crew is just chilling around the ship. It's a vibe, and if they went in more of this direction, GT would feel very unique because basically nothing else in the franchise feels like this. Since GT is anime only, it is extremely valid to make the connection I am about to speak on. An audience expectation to have about GT is that DBZ had some amazing animated moments. When the Baby Saga transitions the story from adventure to action, it doesn't ever follow through with one of the main reasons Dragon Ball Z became so iconic: the animation. After GT turns into more of an action story, it never ever even comes close to some of the most action-packed moments of DBZ in Dragon Ball Super's animated adaptation. I don't like Super, but even I can admit it looks great when the animators lock in. There is never an animators locking in moment for GT, one of the things that is exciting about an action scene in an animated format. This one's tricky because in my opinion she's actually well characterized, and I can't say she's used poorly because she has some good moments scattered throughout every arc, and is the catalyst for the emotional moment that is Super Saiyan 4. The problem of expectations with this character is the same as with Oob, so there's not much more to comment on other than the fact that she never goes Super Saiyan. Why not? It's not like Super Saiyan 4 didn't invalidate everyone anyways. It could have been iconic to have a pan Super Saiyan moment at a pivotal time. GT's biggest problem is that it is trying to deliver on two different fronts, but satisfies neither audience well enough. Not the people who loved the adventure and whimsy from the beginning of the series, nor those who prefer the more action-packed elements delivered on in the DBZ anime. I like GT, but it consistently fails to deliver on what, in my opinion, are completely warranted and valid audience expectations.